Hey everybody, my name's Gabby. I am a lifelong Swiftie, and today I'm going to be talking about all of my thoughts on The Life of a Showgirl that just released today. Now, I have heard the album 2 times, first through a very grainy Discord stream last night, and then a better quality version this morning. So let's dive into all the lyrics and everything Taylor says in this new album. Okay, the first song is called Fate of Ophelia, and it is definitely a banger. It's catchy, it's boppy, it's everything you want in a lead single. The opening line, I hear you calling on the megaphone, is already stuck in my head. I'm obsessed. Now, lyrically, she's talking about Ophelia, which is from Shakespeare's Hamlet, who had a tragic drowning. And the song is basically talking about how she would have had that same fate had she not met her current partner, who basically saved her. And then she has a couple references to Travis with the keep it 100, which is apparently a thing he always says. He also said that on an Instagram post. She also says, pledge allegiance to your hands, your team, your vibes. That's just like very Kansas City Chiefs football coded. Not to mention, it is extremely catchy. The second song is called Elizabeth Taylor, and this is not the first time that she's mentioned Elizabeth Taylor. She says Burton to this Taylor on Rep album, which was basically talking about Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, how they had like a super public relationship and all of the media scrutiny really affected that. So I think she can relate herself to Elizabeth Taylor in a lot of ways. And she keeps saying like, Elizabeth Taylor, do you think it's forever? Elizabeth Taylor, tell me for real. Basically saying like all of the guys promised her all these things in the past, but like, is this relationship the one and the one that's gonna last? And then she has this iconic line that showed up in the pop-up, which is, you're only as hot as your last hit, baby. Which like she's talked about this before as like feeling like she's getting older and not knowing like how long her popularity is going to last. And so she feels like she has to keep putting out hits and keep putting out hits to like seal her legacy. The second verse also kills me with, hey, what could you possibly get for the girl who wants everything and nothing all at once? Babe, I would trade the Cartier for someone to trust. And then she says, just kidding. Classic sassy Taylor moment. I just love that. And then at the end, all the white diamonds and lovers are forever. Don't you ever end up anything but mine. Very sweet. And sonically, I think it definitely gives like a little Reputation vibe. There's a nice bass to it that helps the song flow together. And then also, oftentimes it doesn't feel glamorous to be me. Another thing that she's always talked about is like Taylor Swift as the person and then Taylor Swift as the brand. And people think that her life is so glamorous and popular, but really Taylor Swift the person is just a normal person, and it's not always this big glamorous thing that people make it out to be. So I like this song. Okay, immediately when the track list leaked, I pegged Opelite because I am a Libra girly. Opal is my stone. Travis is also Libra, so I was like, this has got to be about Travis. This song definitely has like a disco kind of vibe going through it. There's like a bass line that connects it, and it's really catchy. And again, lyrically, she's talking about all these other guys that didn't work out before and how this love is finally the real one. Never made me one like you before, had to make your own sunshine, but now the sky is opalite. Again, she's always referenced different colors. She had a lot of blue with Joe in the past, so threading that new color in. And then the second verse is talking about Travis's past. She says, you couldn't understand it, why you felt alone. You were in it for real, she was on her phone. And then I also like, you finally left the table, and what a simple thought, you're starving till you're not. And that, the table line really reminded me of right where you left me when she says I'm still at the restaurant, and also tolerate it when she's like making the table up for him. I love when she weaves in references to past songs. It just like makes the storyline even more intense. She also says, and all the perfect couples said when you know, and when you know is actually a line from the song Margaret that Jack Antonoff and Lana Del Rey wrote for Lana's latest album. And it's talking about Jack falling in love with his wife Margaret and how they then immediately knew that it was true love and meant to be. So I love that that's like a subtle hint to that friendship. Even though Jax didn't produce this album, she still like has a thread in there. And she also says, but my mama told me it's all right, you were dancing through the lightning strikes. And that immediately made me think of with you, I dance in a storm in my best dress, fearless. Just thinking about like her mom, seeing her growing up and being like, no, you've always done that. You've always like believed in love and had that hope. And then to now see her like end up with her person, I just think that's super cool. Okay, track 4 is Father Figure, and it has interpolation from George Michael's song of the same name. I feel like she definitely wrote it based on all the trauma that happened to her from the sale of her masters and everything that happened with Scott Borchetta and Big Machine, and how he basically signed her to this deal when she was 15 years old, promised her that they were family, and then later sold her masters off to her enemy like it was no big deal, and like left Taylor feeling so betrayed. So so for this song, she kind of takes it and flips it to where she's the person in the song who's like bringing and luring in these young, innocent people, promising them fame and glory, and then being like, now you're tied to me in blood. So it's a very dark song lyrically, but melodically, it's much more upbeat and fun. I think overall, the whole album is very mid tempo and easy listening. It's definitely an album that the masses are going to like. It's not as maybe lyrically deep as Folklore, Evermore, or Tortured Poets, but I think it's going to be more accepted by the general public just to have like catchy beats playing in the background. The chorus of Father Figure is crazy. I'll be your father figure. I drink that brown liquor. I can make deals with the devil because my dick's bigger. This love is pure profit. Just step into my office. So very dark, but low-key really catchy. She also does this whisper thing where she's like, I protect the family. And it's like kind of gave me shivers the first time I heard it. And then there's an octave change at the end where it just goes higher and there's like a full chorus and it's big, a big production moment at the end. Also, fun fact, George Michael's album, this track won Album of the Year at the 1989 Grammys, which is the year Taylor was born. So always a crazy tie-in. Track 5 is Eldest Daughter. And if you know anything about Taylor, you know the track 5s are usually the most sad or vulnerable or intimate songs on the album. All Too Well was on a track 5. Delicate was a track 5 on past albums. So you can usually expect that. And she definitely delivers that again with this. It's mainly acoustic guitar and piano. So very slower paced. One of the slowest songs on the album. And lyrically, it gets very vulnerable. It's also the longest song on the album. So she's talking about how the world is so cutthroat and apathetic and how people are just mean in general and how she's always like tried so hard to be cool and unbothered, but how she's not really like that. That's more of a bravado or persona that she puts on. I mean, she said this before with I've never been a natural. All I do is try, try, try. She acts like everything's fine, but underneath she wants to be accepted like everyone. And then the chorus is, but I'm not a bad bitch and this isn't savage, but I'm never gonna let you down, never gonna leave you out. So many traitors, smooth operators, but I'm never gonna break that vow, never gonna leave you now. So it's just like a very nice love song, her committing and saying that like the world's so hard, but like for you, she's all in. And then she also mentions how she's an eldest daughter, saying every eldest daughter was the first lamb to the slaughter, so we all dressed up as wolves and we looked fire. In contrast to Travis, who is the youngest in his family, and her line for him is every youngest child felt they were raised up in the wild, but now you're home. So very sweet. Okay, Ruin the Friendship is track 6. I didn't really know what to expect. I thought it was going to maybe be like an upbeat sassy bop about like ruining a friendship with someone to date them. Lyrically, it's actually like really, really devastating. She's talking about a friend that she had in high school and how in high school she never wanted to ruin the friendship. He had a girlfriend at the time and there was just like never a right moment. And then he tragically dies pretty young and she basically stops what she's doing, flies back home and goes to his gravestone. So here are some of the lyrics from that. She also wrote Forever Winter about her friend Jeff Lang. He passed away in 2010 of an overdose. And so people are thinking that this is also about him. When I left school, I lost track of you. Abigail called me with the bad news. Goodbye, and we'll never know why. But I whispered at the grave, should have kissed you anyway. And then the ending is kind of her saying like, always ruin the friendship. My advice is always ruin the friendship. Better that than regret it. And my advice is always answer the question rather than to ask it all of your life. So it sounds like she definitely has some feelings from that experience and obviously trauma and sadness from her friend who passed away. Again, if you're just listening to the music, it's very easy listening. But when you dive into the lyrics, you realize it's like really dark and devastating. Track 7, Actually Romantic. This is probably my most anticipated song on the album just because people were telling me lyrically that it was crazy. So it kind of is giving This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things from Rep. And this seems to be a rebuttal to Sympathy is a Knife, which is the song that Charli XCX wrote alluding to Taylor on her last album. One of the lyrics was, don't want to see her backstage at my boyfriend's show. Fingers crossed behind my back. I hope they break up quick. So that's like when Taylor was with Maddie Healy and she was at 1975 shows and Charli XCX would see her around and always felt super insecure by her and didn't really know why. And that's what Charli's song kind of references. The lyrics in this are crazy from the beginning. Let me talk about the melody first. It kind of starts with this like electric guitar strum that is kind of giving like early 2000s throwback vibes, which is really cool. Some people thought that she might try to do like a hyper pop sound to like mimic Charli, but she didn't go that direction at all. She basically went opposite. I'm just gonna like read all the lyrics because they're crazy. Heard you call me boring Barbie Barbie when the Cokes got you brave. High-fived my ex and then you said you're glad he ghosted me. Wrote me a song saying it makes you sick to see my face. Some people might be offended, but it's actually sweet. All the time you've spent on me. It's honestly wild. All the effort you've put in. It's actually romantic. So she's saying, like, by Charli being obsessed with her, it's actually romantic. They definitely created very ethereal vocals for this song and they layered it so it sounds really like satisfying. It definitely like scratches an itch in your brain. They also have Taylor do some fun ad libs at the end, which is kind of cool, something she hasn't done in a few albums. So I liked that aspect of it. And then the bridge just gets fully unhinged. You there, I'm ready, babe. Stop talking dirty to me. It sounded nasty, but it feels like you're flirting with me. I mind my business, God's my witness. That I don't provoke it, it's kind of making me wet. And also, Everything is Romantic is track 7 on the Brat album, and Actually Romantic is track 7 on this album. And also, apparently, Charli has a Chihuahua dog, and a Chihuahua dog is mentioned in these lyrics too. So, drama, but we love it. Okay, Wishlist is track 8, and it kind of has a glitch vibe, if you like that song from the extra tracks on Midnights. It is also very synthy, and there's like a moment where she's like, I just want you. And it's like kind of high pitched and I don't know, it's very satisfying. Lyrically, I like how this is talking about all the things people want. They want fame, they want money, they want all the things. And she already has all those things. So really, Taylor wants the opposite. She just wants to settle down, have a couple kids, and basically nobody to bother her. And so she starts by listing all the things that everybody else wants: yacht life, chopper planes, bright lights, Balenci shades, a fat ass with a baby face, a contract with Real Madrid, spring break that was fucking lit, and then a video taken off the internet. So just like very entitled type of rich people things. In contrast, she's saying, I just want you, have a couple kids, tell the world to leave us the fuck alone, and they do. And I love this part. She says, you've got me dreaming about a driveway with a basketball hoop. Call it a wish list, but I just want you. So I thought that was really cute. It also kind of reminded me of Call It What You Want a little bit in the lyrical style. Okay, track 9 is Wood. This was probably my second most anticipated song because immediately when the track list came out, everyone was like, Wood, what the heck is that about? It's a double entendre, but it definitely is what you think it's about. She's talking about knocking on wood. And she even has like a fun little sound effect during that part. It literally sounds like I Want You Back by the Jackson 5. Like we're talking 70s guitar riff vibes. Literally vibes. There's this electric guitar, a groovy bass line. It is just totally throwback and it works. So she's saying like with this relationship, she doesn't have to knock on wood or be worried or be superstitious about it because she knows this love is legit. So it's continuing on kind of a lot of the themes we've been hearing so far on the album. However, we need to talk about the cheeky lyrics, especially in the bridge. I'm still shook by this. Forgive me, it sounds cocky. He matized me and opened my eyes. Redwood tree, it ain't hard to see. His love was the key that opened my thighs. Girls, I don't need to catch the bouquet to know a hard rock is on the way. And baby, I'll admit, I've been a little superstitious. The curse on me was broken by your magic wand. Seems to me that you and me make our own luck. New heights of manhood. I ain't gotta knock on wood. The fact that she put new heights in there is insane to me. Like, absolutely unhinged. Also, the redwood tree line is probably referencing a tweet that came out a couple years ago when Ariana Grande fans were talking about Taylor Swift fans, and they were like, Ariana Grande just straight up talks about sex, but Taylor says like, he stuck his long wood into my redwood forest, and is like basically being dramatic about how she writes lyrics like so dramatically. So I think she put that in there to be like a literal joke on it. But yeah, I don't know how she got away with doing all those puns in the bridge. It's a lot. Track 10 is Canceled in all caps exclamation point. To me, this reminded me of Ready for It. And I also kept thinking about the Pretty Little Liars theme song. There's something about it that's like, she's dangerous, she's keeping a secret, like it's dark, it's mysterious. And I liked those vibes. I think those work and Taylor pulls those off perfectly. The beat's crazy, more tongue-in-cheek lyrics, like she just nails it. Lyrically, the song is talking about how basically all celebrities are getting canceled these days for one thing or another. And I think she wrote this because she obviously had that horrible experience in 2016 where she got canceled and they were calling her a snake and she wasn't in the public for like a whole year because of it. And so now this reminds me of like the Blake Lively situation, how she kind of like had the whole drama and Taylor's like one of her best friends. And so people were saying like, oh, should she distance herself from Blake? And in this song, she's kind of saying like, no, I like my friends canceled. I've been canceled. It doesn't mean anything that the public says what they say. They're going to say what they say. I know who my real friends are. The lyrics are, good thing I like my friends canceled. I like them cloaked in Gucci and a scandal. Welcome to my underworld where it gets quite dark. There's also a lot of guitar in this, which I like. It's basically an instant an instant catchy song that you're gonna have stuck in your head. She also mentions her getting canceled, saying, "They stood by me before my exoneration. They believed I was innocent. So I'm not here for judgment, no. But if you can't be good, then just be better at it. Everybody's got bodies in the attic." I'm like, ooh, getting shivers. So dark and delightfully gloomy. Track 11 is Honey. It's a slower vibe. It kind of is like Call It What You Want meets Slut. It kind of has a lower mid-tempo beat, but it's still a really sweet love song. And I didn't think I was gonna like it, but it's actually growing on me. Kind of has an R&B vibe. And in the song, she's talking about all the words that like past boyfriends have called her, like honey, baby, sweetheart, like all of these words that are typically associated with being like catcalled or just being a woman in society, and people just call you these things whether you want it or not. And she's like reframing it because like Travis, her current partner in this song, when he says it to her, it's genuine and nice, and she can tell he doesn't have any ulterior motive, and so the word means something different to her now, which I think is really sweet. But you touch my face, redefine all those words when you say honey. And then the bridge to me was like the most devastating part. It's when anyone called me late night, he was screwing around with my mind, asking, "What are you wearing? Too high to remember in the morning?" But you say it like you're in awe of me, and you stay until the morning. I was like literally about to cry. Had like just such a nice jazzy beat, and like those words over it, I was like, oh my God, you're in love, Taylor. I'm so happy for you. And then still kind of building on these themes of just enjoying the domestic life at home, and that could be enough. She says, "Honey, I'm home. We could play house. You could bend down, pick me up. Who's the baddest in the land? What's the plan? You could be my forever nightstand." So yeah, I liked it. I think it is a little bit more simple production wise, but I think it works for the themes of the song. And then track 12, album 12 has 12 tracks. This is the last one. It has a feature of Sabrina Carpenter. It's the title track of the album, The Life of a Showgirl. And I think it really makes sense to end with this one. They really build it up. It kind of reminded me of Last Great American Dynasty, how she's kind of like narrating the story of this other famous woman, and then she like relates herself to it in the song. For some reason, I could not stop thinking about Cool by the Jonas Brothers. The melody is just exactly the same. It's going to take more listens for me to forget about that, but it's just very similar. But the lyrics are totally different. So she's talking about waiting outside of the stage door for this showgirl who came out and wanting an autograph. And the girl comes over to her and she's like, "The more you play, the more you pay. You don't know the life of a showgirl, babe." So just like how people are naive to like how much you lose when you become a public persona and how much it takes out of you to do that and be in the limelight. And then they also say, "I'd sell my soul to have a taste of magnificent life that's all mine." In the end, obviously Taylor and Sabrina are both famous, so they got famous, they got what they wanted, but at what cost is kind of what I think it's about. Sabrina gets to sing the second verse, which is awesome, and then they harmonize together at the end. The bridge really speeds up and then it slows down, and it really reminds me of like a theater production and the way they're kind of talking while they're singing and just how the production builds. It reminds me of like a live performance or a play. And then the culminating lyrics are, "And all the headshots on the walls of the dance hall are of the bitches who wish I'd hurry up and die, but I'm immortal now, baby dolls. I couldn't if I tried." Which is so true. Like even when Taylor Swift herself dies, her legacy will be there forever and will be immortal. Like she did that. And then they put this microphone effect over Taylor's voice, and for a second I literally thought it was a clip from the Eras tour, so similar to how she ended the show. And she's saying like, "Give it up for the band, the dancers, and of course Sabrina. That's our show. We love you so much. Good night." Which is like literally how she used to end the Eras tour every night, and it was such a euphoric feeling. So to like tie that into this album as something that she wrote during the Eras tour, I thought was really cool. And it's just a perfect album ender. It builds up so big, and then it almost makes you think of all those memories that you had at the Eras tour, and then you're now like a part of this album. I thought it was cool. And then Sabrina also has like a really fun lyric. She ad-libs at the end, "Now I'm making money being pretty and witty," which is like, if you know Sabrina's lyrics, like that's totally it. Like people are always accusing her of like over sexualizing herself and having lyrics in her songs that are like too sexual and stuff. So for her to be like, "Yeah, I'm making money being pretty and witty," like it's just such like a fun little comeback. I loved that. So that's the album. And I think my thoughts overall are that I think Max Martin and Chilbeck did a really good job of like making some awesome production. I think she says bitches a lot more than ever. And I love that she feels like she can just say whatever she wants now. She doesn't have to try to like censor herself or like appeal to a certain audience. I mean, she's in her mid 30s now. She should be able to curse on an album and it not be dramatic. But yeah, I definitely think I felt the influence of like the pop bangers from 1989. I felt like the darkness from Rep. I felt like the sexiness from Midnights. I felt the influence of the Eras tour. I also think it's a pretty thematically cohesive album. She does stick to this showgirl theme, which is basically her. She's super famous and popular, so it would make sense that that's how she sees things. I think there's a lot of references to her and Travis kind of like finding that one true love and settling down, and her really believing that this is it. Like, I've been writing and hoping for this for my whole life, and I finally got it. And there's like a really nice peace and excitement for like that next stage of her life that she hasn't experienced yet, to kind of like get married, settle down, have kids. And I think that's really sweet. So yeah, I think this is going to be, in the end, a really timeless album of hers. I think the general public is going to really like it. It's very easy listening for anybody. Even if you don't care about the lyrics, you can just play it and you're going to be like bopping along because it's that catchy. But also, if you're like a deep Taylor fan and you care about the lyrics and you care about tying in these themes, there's something for you there too. I don't think it's super as deep as maybe Tortured Poets or Folklore Evermore, but at the same time, I don't think every album of hers needs to be one that you're carrying a dictionary around to figure out what she's talking about. It's a little bit more surface level, but it's still really catchy and still an album I'm going to play a lot. And I'm excited to dive in more and really learn and memorize all these songs. So that's my analysis of The Life of a Showgirl by Taylor Swift. Let me know in the comments your favorite lyrics, your favorite songs so far, what you expected, if it's what you thought it would be production wise. I want to know all the things. Tell me about it. And Taylor, if you do want to take a little break from music and settle down, it's fine. You can do it. You've given us so much music that respect, if that's what you want to do. And let me know if you like this. Maybe I'll do some other Taylor Swift album reviews or other artist reviews in general. So let me know.